Welcome back to Echo Ridge and another episode here in our max difficulty achievement run. Today, I think it's finally time to build an industrial sauna around these 3 volcanoes. How that's gonna look? Well, that's anybody's guess. We've also started the long process of trying to drain all the water up here. The plan is pretty simple. We're gonna drop all the polluted water on this side and hopefully all the salt water on this side. It's gonna take me a month of Sundays though, because we only have 4 duplicants here. And there is a lot of water here. The other problem that we're going to be facing here soon is this water is now up to 80 degrees. Remember, we've had this cobalt volcano uncorked for quite some time, and for our efforts, we've been given quite a bit of cobalt and been using it in and around the colony. Except now the water is so hot that it's scalding the dupes, so I have to be careful about what I use to build cobalt out of. I could also tame both of these as well, which I want to do. But once again, I think it all revolves around duplicant labor. To start off with, this area just stinks. While I like the sort of frontier edge building sort of thing we have going here, it doesn't really stroke my feathers when it comes to organization and simplicity when you're trying to expand out. For instance, if I wanted to add another duplicant here, or if I wanted to put suits somewhere in here so that no matter where the duplicants went, for instance, in this water, they'd be protected. But at the minimum, we're going to need some suits because, well, this is going to be an industrial sauna. And unless we just close it up and forget about it, those dupes are going to need to be in suits. Elsewhere around the star map, we are sending Angry Forest back out on some exploration missions. This unknown object is next. And I think we're also going to try for this one down here on a next mission. But after that, we are truly going to be limited by the fact that, well, we just don't have enough range to send Angry Forest out further. Here is Tuxedo in our home planetoid. So unless we set up sort of refueling stations here on Rikazon, which is quite frankly not a bad idea, we're going to need better rockets. And with supercoolant available, it means that we can actually get our hands on liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So look forward to that here in the next couple of episodes. Over on Enverlin, yeah, we're still picking everything up and digging everything out. I feel like this is going to take another 500 cycles. In fact, after this project and the Rikazon project are done, I think at a minimum, I'm just going to send 2 rockets filled with 4 dupes each because it just takes too long with such a small amount of dupes. Also happening on our home planetoid, we're about to send Whiskey back out to do some more mining, except we're not actually going to be doing a lot of mining. Rather, we're going to be going to these places that we really don't need anything from, but we want that artifact. Because remember, one of our objectives is to study 10 space artifacts. Right now, we're at 7 of 10. So off they go, and Whiskey, please bring back some fat loot. Thank you. I've also started pulling up some polluted water. I don't have to worry about it off-gassing too much as long as the carbon dioxide stays in here. Of course, the more the slicksters eat, the less carbon dioxide there's going to be, so eventually we're going to have to clean up some polluted oxygen. I can already see a little bit of it pooling here. But the reason why we are starting to collect some polluted water, because we're trying to mutate the thimbleweed and the pitcher pepper plant, both of which we need for GMA OK. We also need a bog bucket mutation, and for that I'm just putting one single bog bucket here up towards the space biome. The duplicants are going to have plenty of access to polluted water to feed it, and while it may take a little while, it eventually should be getting enough radiation to give us that mutated seed. Although it would be better if I can get rid of this silly slime tile. Which is another thing we need to consider here on Rikazon, is I'd really like to get rid of all this junk up here as well, and sort of build us up a nice platform. Angry has discovered another planetoid. This one's called Chilios, and I believe this is going to be the planetoid that has the temporal tear. And I believe that because it has the iron volcanoes and it only holds a tundra and a space biome. With the ESS slow and steady having a range of 13 tiles remaining, it means I can still go 3 tiles out. So I think we're just going to go a little bit further, and that way we can also identify this object here. Lastly, on the seed front, we're also trying to get a dust cap to give us a mutated seed by using a simple wheezewort. Now, because it's not a lot of radiation, only about 380 rads per cycle, I'm not confident in how long it will take for us to get that seed. We've also put in a few plastic tiles to help prevent the duplicants from getting over-radiated as they sleep. Although I think it is time to start updating this a little bit. I think we can start by getting rid of this sludge press. Although we still have 4 tons of polluted mud and 12.5 tons of regular mud. Additionally, with all this water sitting here, the duplicants are getting sopping wet every time they enter. Why did I disconnect this pump is the question. Probably because we were getting too full here. We're also indiscriminately doing mud and polluted mud, which is causing plain water to go into this system, which will occasionally then backlog into this thimble reed, which will stifle it. So I think step one is going to be putting a filter onto this system so we can send the water to one place and the polluted water to another. What a giant mess. All right, let me see what I can do. In my haste, I accidentally dropped this pond without fully thinking that I should have dropped it from over here, and now we have a bunch of polluted water absolutely everywhere. Oops. Digging this tile out will help us out a little bit. I'll be able to drop more of the polluted water into the tank where it belongs. And I think while I have the opportunity, we're just going to move the dust caps and renovate this entire area. Update on our space exploration mission. Since we're in orbit now, we will be able to oversee the planetoid of Chiliosis? Chiliosis. Yeah, somebody's going to need to help me out with that one. And there's not much to this planetoid. It is very small, just over 60 tiles in width. And if we use the dig trick, we can see that it does go pretty deep, but I'd be willing to bet the temporal tear opener is somewhere around here. So for now, we're going to forget about this planetoid for about, 700 cycles. We also found a destroyed satellite, but I only have 11 tiles remaining. I'd like to stop off and see if I can grab another artifact. And it looks like if I take this route here, I could stop in this swampy ore field and grab it. Let's try that. I think step one in this reorganization that we're doing over here on Rikazan is going to be putting a proper oxygen machine into place. I'm thinking overall it'd be nice to have 8 duplicates on this planetoid, so I'm going to build a quick mini spawn, and in doing so we've moved this sludge press. It's going to be a fairly simple system. As we're getting rid of all the mud, any polluted water is going to go down and feed the bog buckets. Any clean water is going to come up here and go into the spawn, which I think is going to go right around here. Now you might wonder why it's going to go here, and it's because I know I'm going to have an industrial sauna in this part here, which means I'll be able to have a thermal aqua tuner in here, which I can then use to keep all that oxygen cool. I mean, it's going to take forever anyways, but the sooner I can get rid of all this polluted dirt and polluted mud, the better. Because as it stands, we just cannot shake the slime lung on this colony. But the good news is it does free up this area here. I'm going to get rid of this whole system here, probably move this stuff down, or end up just putting another couple barracks in here. Whiskey has returned home from their space mission, and it looks like we have the egg-shaped rock. Not a bad haul, even though we had to turn around a little bit early because, oh, I forgot to load up the berry sludge. They were running out of food rather quickly. So before I send them on another mission, let me get rid of those rad pills. Oh, who's scalding now? No, Whiskey, you need to go home. You can't play around in the hot area. I really didn't want to go to that planetoid. Yeah, we have some dirt, which is always great, but we have pips. And the algae and slime are just going to go to waste. In fact, the slime's just going to be more trouble than it's worth. So I think we'll end up putting it in this automatic dispenser here. It'll sit here with the nuclear waste until it finally off-gasses itself into oblivion. Yeah, that's a good idea. We are making some headway over here. We've added another row, which will eventually be bog buckets, because I'm hoping to add another dupe. Who knows how long that's going to be, though, until I find a dupe worthy, but we're also starting to put in this mini spawn here. Some people like to call this a quarter Rodriguez. I haven't seen too many of these, but with 1 electrolyzer and 2 gas pumps, this little spawn will be able to support a little over 8 duplicates. We finally found a duplicate that's worthy of grabbing for Rikazan. This Turner here is an operator, a digger, and a suit wearer, with the bonuses of uncultured, and their only negative is that they're yokel. Turner's not going to be doing researching errands anyways, so who cares? Welcome to our playthrough's 27th dupe, Glenn Sullivan. For right now, Glenn's going to be going into digging. That way they can be able to help get rid of all the stuff on Rikazan that we want to, but I think eventually, long term, there'll be a better mechatronics engineer. We're also starting to clear the area around here, and I think this is going to be the line, and we're going to be able to save a lot of materials by using this abyssalite again. So this entire area here will be the sauna. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to vacuum this whole place out, and we're going to have to double liquid lock it. Also, unfortunately, is the fact that I don't have any liquids here on this planetoid that I can use for a double liquid lock that the steam wouldn't end up flashing anyways. So we're going to have to ship over some naphtha. Whenever these temperature shift plates get hot enough, they melt and then give us some of that beautiful liquid. I just have to make sure I remember to put the back plate back in. And then we've rigged up a simple little system here with the bottle emptier and the liquid pump, and we're going to send the naphtha over using the interplanetary launcher. Now, unfortunately, this stuff is going to be hot. I made the pump out of gold, but depending on what the duplicants do with it on the other side, there's a chance that they're going to get scalded. I know, we're eventually going to put them into suits. Now, I've built simple little spawns like this before. I haven't seen too many of them, so I'm going to give you a quick explanation. The theory behind them is the exact same thing with the major spalm or the Fold Rodriguez. Hydrogen's going to go up, stay up. This pump's going to grab it and feed it to a hydrogen generator. These two pumps are going to be grabbing the oxygen. Now, because the electrolyzer can produce 8.88 grams worth of oxygen, the two gas pumps will have no problem keeping up and providing oxygen for a little over 8 duplicants. It looks like all of our 150-degree naphtha has shown up. Now I just need to decide where we're going to put suits to get in here, or if we're going to end up putting suits over here somewhere. I also need to find Glenn a bed. Right now, they're sleeping on the floor because we only have 4 cots. This whole area here is going to be turned into a new barracks, but it's not quite ready yet. I suppose we can put the suits somewhere around here. We are going to gut some of this abyssalite, for the simple reason it's going to prevent all of the metal from actually falling down and spreading heat throughout this entire chamber. I also need to start dumping a bunch of water in here as well. We just have so much to do here. So I guess it's time to add another dupe. Welcome to the colony, our 28th dupe, Jack died. Jack here is a tidying, researching, and digging expert, and their only negative is that they have a small bladder. This brings us up to 6 duplicants on Rikazon, and I'm going to sort of hold here for a little bit. I need to make sure we're producing enough food. We have so many different sources of food now, it's a little difficult to keep track of. We have 2 duplicants worth of Swampy Delights coming in through these bog buckets. We have another duplicant's worth in these dust caps. But we also have a whole bunch of omelets coming out of these plug slugs. We're going to take Jack and put them into some improved strength. I do understand that there's the strategy that, especially if they have an interest in it, to put them into the research first, because it'll give them the +2 science, which means they'll level up a little bit quicker. Because for those of you who did not know, for every point that you have in science, you get +10% to skill leveling. In this case, time is not really a factor because we're playing such a late game, so we put Jack into that carry so they could help picking things up and putting them back down. Even with 6 duplicants, we still have so many tasks waiting to be done. We're starting with adding another power leg. That way we have one line that can power the quarter spawn. We have all this debris to pick up, partially because it has a lot of slime in it, and there's no sense in trying to vacuum anything out when it still has slime. We have this area to clean up, and we need to start dropping off some salt water in here because I think that's what we're going to use to start the steam bath. So the idea is going to be, we're going to brick this place in, we're going to have some suits, we're going to vacuum out the whole thing, we're going to drop a bunch of salt water, and then we're going to uncork all 3 volcanoes. In which case, they'll probably all 3 be dormant and make me wait another 60 cycles. We also need to figure out how to get all these puffs out of here. I suppose we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way with airborne critter baits. I do actually have some slime, bleachstone, and oxalite, which will be enough to get rid of all of these types of puffs. Where's that squeaky puff? I know they're around here somewhere. It has been a very long time since I've done this old thing. Making them follow all the critter baits. We'll make sure this one's set on the highest priority, this one second, and then this one last. And we're going to have to do that with the oxalate as well, but I only have 36 and it's quickly deteriorating. Like moths to a flame, we got 1 puff prince, but the rest were like, oh, that one's taken. Come on, guys, just move over. There's the squeaky puff. Hi, little fella. The squeaky puff's the smartest of them all. One definitive problem with the airborne critter bait is, unfortunately, this one puff managed to grab every last critter bait. And I'm assuming since that one puff was already attracted to it, these fellas didn't even move. Well, puffs, I'm going to leave it up to fate. You better get out before I seal this thing up. Otherwise, you're going to be cooked. Literally. Small progress update is we've sort of got the framework for the liquid lock-in. Although I'm going to have to accelerate some of these tasks here eventually because they are just not getting done. Oh no, who's scalding? Oh, Brian, stay out of the hot water. I guess when you need cobalt, you need cobalt. The water's up to 92.8, by the way. Don't know what I'm going to do when that turns into steam. Small update on the bedroom situation. Everybody now has a place to sleep. We even outfitted it with some hanging pots. So despite the rampant slime lung that consistently happens on this colony, At least they live in a nice little home. Still have some work to do up here, but this is not the priority right now. I'm spending a lot of time churning up granite in order to make some sand at the rock crusher to be able to keep all this oxygen clean. Well, clean-ish. But we're almost there with the mini spam. This is going to take a month of Sundays, so I don't think it's going to happen today. It also frees up this area where I was thinking about making a recreation room. We still carry a significant amount of stress here, or one of at least 20 reasons, so it'd be nice to be able to put something in here to improve that morale and the stress. But for some unearthly reason, running an arcade cabinet costs 1200 watts. I don't have anything to run the juicer or the tea station with, although I suppose I might be able to use the juicer. The juicer only takes 120 watts, and I think I can use mushrooms. And what's better than a juicer? A juicer that runs on cleaned potty water. Yes. And I suppose since it's our juicer room, we should use a mixture of sour lemon, grape escape, and juicy watermelon drywall. Warning, I am not an artist, so this is going to turn out horribly. So the naphtha is going in, and unfortunately it is still very, very hot. I've started seeing some scalding messages, so we will have to get to those suits. But we're also dealing with the fact that this natural gas geyser is dormant, and we're down to 963 grams of natural gas, which means this thing's not pumping anymore because we had it set on automation. And this natural gas geyser is also dormant because why wouldn't it be? This one's at least a little bit better with its next activity at 9 cycles. But man, it looks like I'm going to have to put wheels back, at least until I can get this thing going. I could have helped myself a little earlier by putting a bunch of buffer tanks in here. I had not done that yet because I was hoping to be able to insulate this place in so I wouldn't have to worry about the heat so much. So these natural gas geysers probably were stifled a little bit when there was no more room inside these pipes. We do finally have the water flow coming out. Just like everything else on this planetoid, all the water is coming from this water sieve, and what excess we have from the bathroom system, that's sort of only temporary though. We also have the sludge press that's going to be taking the mud and turning it into dirt and water. But as soon as the water came into the Quarter Rodriguez, it almost instantly stabilized. We have the bottom Atmos sensor set on 450, the top one set at 250. It also means we're going to have a little bit of extra hydrogen that's going to make its way over to the hydrogen generators on the power brick. Now I'm going to keep this thing going for a little bit, but I'm probably going to set up some sort of side station because I need to get through all that polluted dirt, and the sublimation station is just a great way to do it. I suppose the other way would be feeding it to old Krabby, which makes you wonder, will critters eat out of a critter feeder if they're not tame? We're gonna find out. Okay, I now officially hate the juicer. I've always thought it was one of these, but apparently it's all of them. Why on earth would I be growing meal lice, bristleberries, and mushrooms just to use the juicer? Sorry, dupes, no juice for you. So when in doubt, we're just gonna put in a party line phone. I mean, it's perfect, right? The party line phone will only cost us 120 watts, and considering we have duplicants all over space using the party line phone, there's a chance they're gonna get +4 morale from it. I feel like we didn't get much accomplished this episode, but we have a completed oxygen machine, and oxygen is no longer going to be an issue here on this planetoid, so long as we have water, which, by the looks of it, is never going to be a problem. We did a little bit of organizing here. We now have enough cots for 6 duplicants. We have a nice little, juicer telephone room. Yep, that's what we're going with. We also made some significant progress here. We have one more liquid lock to put into place, and the duplicants have a lot of work doing picking up all this debris. Sorry I wasn't able to get the industrial sauna in. Just a quick channel update, the Ultimate Beginner Series is now done, which means I'm going to be able to concentrate on this series and this series alone. We'll sprinkle in a Chaos Crew video and the occasional tutorial, but with this being the only active colony, besides the colonies we do on the stream, we should be able to get a lot more accomplished here in this playthrough. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.